So guys, just each of you, if you want to give me a little bit of an insight onto who you are, where, what companies you guys work for, and just an introduction in general. I suppose I skipped that part in the beginning. I was looking to get straight down to business, but I suppose it's never too late really to go into that.
Well, I'm Randy Patton, and I am the Talent Acquisition Coordinator for Natchitoches Regional Medical Center. Our hospital is a 96-bed hospital, but we also own many different specialty clinics here. And just opened a new multi-specialty clinic, and we also have a skilled nursing facility and assisted living facilities. Really a dynamic healthcare organization here in the rural parish of Natchitoches, and really primary goal is to provide as many services as we can to our community to keep people from having to travel between Alexandria and Shreveport, because we're kind of in that central location. So that's a little bit about me. I've been with the organization for 6 years, started out as a speech language pathologist. I am a ULM proud alumni. Started out in speech path and then got a master's in healthcare administration and moved into the human resource world.
Yeah, so I'll go next. I'm Brooke O'Brien. I am also a very proud alumni. I graduated in 2011 with a degree in mass communications. Been a recruiter for most of my career, spent it with CenturyLink for quite a while. So I miss Monroe, but I now sit in New Orleans, Louisiana, and I recruit for a company called Hajoca. We're the largest privately held wholesale distributor in the country, so very proud of that. But yeah, just really excited to be here. I've been with the company since March of this year, so it has been quite the year so far. So just happy to talk about COVID and all those things. I feel like we just can't get enough of it. But yeah, really happy to be here.
Oh, is it my turn? I was going to.
It is indeed, Jeff. Yeah, you're up.
Yeah, so my name is Jeff Green. I'm a regional talent acquisition manager for Enterprise Holdings, which is more known as Enterprise Rent-A-Car. And I've been with the company for almost 8 years, and I started in our management training program, just like everyone else in the company does. And started in West Virginia, where I went to school. I walked across stage, took 2 days off, and was a coolest college kid looking for a career, and Enterprise provided that. I had no idea I would end up as a department head in an HR division, but I think that's the cool thing about our company is that you come in, you learn all these different parts about managing a business and how a company our size works, and you really get to kind of formulate your plan for what division, what position you see yourself as the best fit in. I personally am not a ULM grad. It's probably my favorite school I cover, but I cover pretty much all of Arkansas, half Louisiana, a big chunk of Northeast Texas, as well as now some parts of Missouri and Kansas. So when it comes to applying, interviewing, and the placement piece, that's where I come into play.
Excellent. I know you're not, although you're not an alumni, Jeff, you're not shy of hiring a few ULM grads, so I think that's more than enough.
We have a ton.
That you contribute.
More than any other school in my region. So
yeah, there you go. So getting into kind of the questions, Jeff, you did mention that, you know, a lot of the things we're going to talk about are just around, you know, what we're going to prepare for and on the day. Starting with, you know, obviously there is a little bit of difference, and you said that you should approach it the same. What do you feel that a student should prepare if you had a checklist or certain things that you feel are must-dos for the virtual fair? What would those be? Starting with you, Randy, I suppose.
Jeff was talking about in the beginning, we really shouldn't be treating this any differently than we would from a normal career fair, where you would be standing in front of us and hopefully dressed appropriately. That's the number one thing. We know that first impression is always important, so making sure that you are dressed for the event. You know, it's easy to be at home in your pajamas and super comfortable, but at least have a top on that makes you look like you're dressed, and you can have your PJ bottoms on. That'll be good. And then obviously we want to see your resume, and make sure that your handshake profile has all of your information there, because people do want to start looking at your profile prior to the event. So just like you should be doing your homework on the companies that are there, we want to do our homework on you and specifically try to invite you to different sessions based on your major and what your interests are. So that's huge, just making sure that your profile is in place before the event so we can try to invite you.
Excellent. Love to hear more about Handshake, and anything that I can use as a selling tool to get people registered, I absolutely will. And I'm going to quote that in a future post on our social media. Brooke, you can go ahead.
Oh yeah. So I will agree 1000%. Make sure your handshake page is up to date. as well as your LinkedIn profile. Not every recruiter is going to be able to see your resume on Handshake. That's an extra function we pay for. So just make sure that if you're on Handshake, it's up to date, but make sure your LinkedIn profile matches that as well. And we use both tools to connect with students. So if I look at your Handshake page and it says one thing and your LinkedIn profile says another, it's hard to know kind of where you are. And I want to approach you and make sure that you're going to be interested in our management development program, things that we are trading on. So just make sure it's a good fit for the both of us. So 1,000% agree with your Handshake page. It's probably one of the most important things you can do right now. Make sure you have a quiet space to do these career fairs in. I was sitting at the kitchen table and had a cute ULM sign and was ready to go. And they started tearing up the sidewalk outside. So now I'm trying to hide from all that noise. So try to prepare as best as possible and to have a great, a nice background behind you and kind of think of those virtual things. Don't have your unmade bed in the background. So just be mindful of those things as well. It's just a new world for us. We're all learning. But just, wear a nice shirt. I have my soccer shorts on. You can't tell, but I do.
Let us all know your secret.
Yeah.
Jeff's
Hey.
not wearing pants, probably.
They might be sweatpants, but I've got pants.
Yeah, it's 2020. We're all in the same boat right now. So just be really mindful of those things. They do make an impression. Just watch out for that and hope they're not tearing up your sidewalk when you get started.
Yeah, and also just to piggyback off that, if you have pets, probably try to keep them out of the room. There's probably 3 animals outside my door right now that want to get in, but I'll say this, everyone needs to feel okay about this because we're all learning. This is all probably pretty new to most of us. So there's going to be definitely some room for error. There's going to be some growing pains throughout this, but I think that putting forth the effort is the most important thing. So similar, like I said at the beginning, treat it just like it's in person with your dress, control what you can control. But just as I preach all the time, I think everyone said this, research the companies. I mean, it's got to be a mutual agreement. If we reach out to you and you say that you want to talk to us, then that shows that you're someone interested. Give yourself 5 minutes to Google the company, a little understanding of who they are and what the position is. It goes a really long ways. Because, I mean, again, I'm still going to handle this like a career fair. I'm not going to expect you to know when we were founded and all of our financial figures from 2019. That's one thing, but get a baseline knowledge of the people you plan on talking to. And the more you know, I think the more impressed we would all be with your research and your effort.
Excellent. I think one thing that I really liked about your response, Randy, and then just where you went with it, Brooke, also, you feel now as recruiters, given the limitations with face-to-face interaction, do you believe Handshake and LinkedIn have become more of a, necessity for students to utilize and kind of market themselves to a degree? Do you feel like it's becoming more important as we transition to more of a virtual world?
Absolutely. I mean, just because you're missing a lot of that face-to-face interaction, so you have to supplement somehow. And so your profile on the Handshake and LinkedIn is what's going to help sell you and get you in front of, the employers that you're looking for. So.
Excellent. And you were going to, sorry, I rudely interrupt there. I didn't
realize
that's
okay.
You were about to talk.
I was going to also say, so one of the perks to doing this and kind of what Jeff was talking about with researching the companies, if there's a company you're interested in speaking with the day of the event, you can always, like if you were interested in NRMC and I have different sessions scheduled, but it might not be exactly what you were looking for. The benefit to this is that I'm actually able to include managers from the company to these sessions now. So I'm going to have our lab manager talk and do a session for lab scientists, people I might want to recruit, because I'm not a scientist and I can only talk to you about benefits and rates of pay and a little bit of what I know about our equipment and stuff. So I'm limited sometimes at a career fair to what I can speak to and can help, try to make those connections and hand your resume over to a manager. But the benefit to doing this virtual, I can now have that manager talk to you directly. So if you see a company, but maybe it's not exactly what you were interested in, the session is see if you can connect with the recruiter and say, hey, I would like to learn more about this part of your business. Is there somebody I can talk to? And we may be able to set up something virtual for you at a one-on-one session. That's the other thing. And, we're trying to do group sessions, but then we can also do one-on-ones, and I can actually connect you with the manager that you're looking to talk to.
That's
I would add
excellent.
one thing.
Yes, go ahead, Jeff.
LinkedIn and Handshake. I mean, LinkedIn, that is probably going to be a tool that you carry with you for a long time. Handshake is so incredibly important to everybody who would utilize this and then utilize the career fair, because I just went through a whole presentation about Handshake. We've expanded our membership as a company, and for me to have seen the growth figures they put up of where they started, I think 5 years ago, and how many universities and students are using this platform now, this is the go-to for universities, and this is the go-to for employers who are targeting college grads. And so for you to really stand out, it's so important to have all that stuff updated, but pay attention to your Handshake profile just as it was your LinkedIn profile. If you're a student that's going to be pursuing postgraduate work, I cannot stress enough how important it is and how much it's being used by all of us in the recruiting field.
Yeah, we actually, and I felt, just from getting some insights from employers that was going to be very important, especially as I said, the limitation of the face-to-face contact. We're offering as Career Center now service to review profiles and also host workshops on these exact things, because I think for many, they feel updating or knowing what to put in each section is quite a daunting task, and it's more getting started with the fundamentals of what goes in each section and then kind of optimizing the fine details then throughout. But I did think that we are going to have to rely on these methods a bit more as the virtual means comes into play. And I really like the point about having your profile updated, that you will research the student, and that it's not just a one-way stream on either end, but rather you must have your updated information as well as the student must do their homework on the employer, because both will want to see what they have to offer and how they can, kind of consolidate and work together. Okay, so just going with materials that you feel the student should have on hand or, integrated into the system, maybe you want to talk about that, Randy, on reference to stuff that the student should have prepared.
Yeah, obviously you want to have, we talked about number one, you got to have your profile updated, have your resume on hand, any contact information updated with your email address, best email. If you're a graduate, if you're coming out in your senior year, go ahead and give us like your Gmail account or something like that, because I know most of you are using a school base and you'll lose access to that within a few months after graduating. So go ahead and give a different contact email address. Really talk about your career goals and be prepared with questions for the organization. Again, following in with, doing your research on the company, but it's always good, and not just, well, how much can I make or what are the benefits, like the general questions that we would cover, but really dig down into like, what's a company's mission, their values and kind of things. When you start talking to them and asking about that, it really leaves a great impression with the employer that you're doing your research on them. So I think it's always great to have like some really deep, specific questions about that organization.
Great. Brooke?
Yeah, she's just taking all my answers.
I'm sorry, Brooke goes
no.
first next time.
Yeah, I agree with that. Have your resume handy. You've put it together, right? But it's still nice to know. I may reference something specific and you may have forgotten you even put that on there, because I like to find the strange things on your resume. So if you put that you're part of the rugby team, I want to talk about rugby. So just be mindful of those as well. But yeah, do your research on the company, come with great questions. I think my thing that I will not miss about in-person career fairs is when students walk up and say, so what do you do? Well, that's really broad. I do a lot of things. So just come with very specific things. If you are interested in companies who are really working on diversity and inclusion right now, or are working on specific issues, ask us those questions. It's okay. We want to answer whatever you have for us, because Jeff is right. It's a two-way street. We want to make sure that it's a mutual fit for the both of us. You're going to be excited in the role that we're looking for. So ask us questions that are important to you. And if I don't know the answer to it, I will find it for you and get back to you. So yeah, and watch your email address. Make sure it's not from like 8th grade and it's like llama I love llamas or something like that. Just make sure you have a pretty professional email account and address that we can get to you.
And Jeff?
Just to mimic what they said, yeah, that's all true. You know, and something I always point out is that we've transitioned to all virtual interviews is obviously have your resume updated, but also, yeah, have a copy of it. If you're doing it on a computer and you got 2 monitors or print it out, but a lot of times we'll reference things on that resume. And if you do draw a blank, it's good to have it there to reference, just as you're sitting in the office with us and we're both going over that resume. So be sure to have that updated. Your contact information all needs to be accurate. And I think that's the important stuff. Just don't go in blind, don't go in unprepared, because that stuff shows.
So if I was to ask the 3 of you things that you like to see, and see, Brooke, you alluded to you like to see strange things on a resume. In Ireland, having rugby on your resume wouldn't be so
Right.
That's 'cause we're a
You're
rugby
very
nation.
right.
Yes, we invest a lot of money into rugby. But going with that, is there anything particular that you look for in a resume or a particular section? You talk an awful lot about in the career center, your summary sections and your work experience aligning, and that kind of integrates what you said, Randy, with just, you know, having values that kind of, you know, align with the company and the personal values that the individual holds. Are there things that you're looking for in a resume to really separate candidates between each other, or things that usually make a good impression with you early in any particular way?
I think I got volunteered to go first on this one.
Yep.
Okay.
I love looking for, I of course want to know what your major is, your GPA. So please put that on there. You should be proud of it. So just have it listed on there, your graduation month and year. That's always super helpful. But I like to look for when students are a part of student organizations. So if you are a member of the marketing group, then put that on there. Put that you've been a member for this long. If you've held any leadership roles in those groups, definitely put that on there. We have a management development program and we're looking for leaders of our company. So we want to see those things on there. And you may not think it's important, but it is important depending on what you're looking for. So read through the job description that we have posted. We've put a lot of detail into them, and pull things from that job description that may fit with something that you've done. They say to have a couple different versions of your resume. I'm sorry, I know that's a lot of work, but go ahead and do it. Go ahead and have a few different versions so that you're applying to my management trainee program may look different than Jeff. So we may be looking for something that they're not. So if you have that skill, put it on for mine, but maybe not for his if he hasn't listed it as what they're looking for. So just be mindful of those things. But yeah, I like to look for things that kind of help you stand out and show that you've had some kind of leadership skills while you were in school. And even if you were in high school and you're looking for an internship, list those things as well. Because that's what my company is looking for. So that's what we're focusing on.
Great. Thank you so much for that.
I always, for resumes, interviewing, the whole 9 yards, I mean, this is your story. Your story is what you got to try to put on paper, and that's what you bring into an interview to get yourself hired. So never downplay any of the parts of your story. And what I mean by that is I so often will see a candidate or I'm interviewing somebody and I'm looking at their resume and they minimally qualify, but I'm just like, well, do they have any interest in what we offer? And we get to talking and I understand that they were actually an excellent server for 4 years, working in a fast-paced environment with a tip average of 25% or whatever that number is. And they just didn't think it was applicable. They didn't think the retail job where they got the most credit card signups every month was applicable. So really dig into that. And it is good to make different resumes for different positions if you're looking maybe across industries. But don't leave things off if you think they're just not important, because they could be very important. So look at that hard. And also, I give this word of advice any chance I can. Objectives, goals, your statement at the top, that's great, but don't submit a resume to me, a management training program with business management, sales, and marketing, saying that you want to be a nurse or you want to work for Aflac Insurance Company, because that's not me. So I think that when you're developing that subject, that mission statement, whatever you call it on your resume, it's okay to leave it pretty broad. You can say, oh, I've been someone looking for a sales, management, marketing position. But if you're going to get to the point where you're tailoring it towards a specific company, that's a nice touch. Just be very careful with it and don't submit that resume to the wrong company. That's a bad look.
Yes, I was actually going to touch on the objective too. I know whenever I was in college, I worked at a radio station and I was a journalism major, and one of my bosses and instructors was talking about how much she hates the objective part of a resume, and she really would prefer people leave it off because it would be very, to obtain a job with NRMC, just very vague. So if you're going to include, like Jeff was saying, if you're going to include an objective statement, really talk about what it is that you want out of a position. And even if it's not your entry level, like if you know that your ultimate career goal is to be a manager of this department, but you're applying obviously for an entry level position, go ahead and specify that in your objective. To one day obtain a management position by starting with this company in an entry level position, to work up. And so that lets me know as a recruiter that you have a vision, you have goals, you see yourself growing with the company. How can I help you get there? Because that's also my job as a talent acquisition coordinator, is to not only place you in a job right now that you're happy in, but that you will be happy in hopefully in 5 years. And how can I help you continue to grow and keep you in our company? Because one of the things we also focus on in addition to recruitment is retention. We want to keep you. We don't just want to get you and let you start here and go somewhere else with what we've taught you. I want to keep you. So how can I do that? And that should really maybe be reflected in your resume. What is the ultimate goal? How can we help you get there?
That's very interesting, and all of you made really good points. One in which we talk an awful lot about in the Career Center is reading the job description and integrating that into the summary or objective, whichever you prefer, and the work experience. And Jeff alluded to just a little bit about being specific and fully highlighting what it is you do and how much of an impact you made in the work. And I've had a lot of instances where you get this great character that comes into the office and has the most vague resume, and it doesn't really reflect their capabilities or the interpersonal skills that they probably have. And it's not comfortable for anyone to really sit there and talk about how great they are or anything like that. But ultimately, it's something that we probably need to get pretty comfortable when it comes to a resume. Making it specific, making the company feel like they're the one that you're applying for, and not some other, someone that you didn't bother to change their name on in the original statement.
It's a great way to get us in your corner quick. I can tell you that. If you tailor it the right way and it fits, that's a great way to get a kind of a leg up.
Yeah, and it's also about, Brooke said that it takes a lot of time, and it's something that I do advise students to do, is keep a few copies, and as you're looking between different roles, you're going to have to make changes according to the job description, the nature of the work. And then also, as your skills, are transferable amongst those, you got to make changes. And, there's a bit of an eye roll when I say that, but I believe it's time worth investing, because as I said, it's there, you want to avoid those turnoffs, and you want to ensure that the employer feels that this is one option in which you really, really are relishing and want to be a part of a company that's, aligning with your goals. So that was very good, guys. I really appreciate that. So what would be the advice for, students, apart from maybe researching the company? Should they map out exactly which companies they're a part of? How many is too many or too little? Where would you kind of advise the student to begin with there, as far as the virtual fair goes?
That's overwhelming. There's 50 companies, 100 companies, however many are there, and I think that if you really try to narrow it down to maybe 5, I think 5 is a really good number, because that will really not overwhelm you as much. If you walk into that and you got 5 people you want to see, and you're able to know information about those 5 companies, that's going to provide a lot more value than going in there talking to 20 employers all within an hour to 2 hours and really not remembering anything that anyone was saying. So I think 5 is a really good number. And I think that this virtual landscape kind of changes that a little bit. Maybe it's 10. I mean, now that we have the ability to, before you go into a session or you do a one-on-one with a recruiter or hiring manager, got your cell phone, got your computer, you can find out what you need to find out very quickly to kind of really acclimate yourself to what you're about to experience. So seeing that this is virtual, I think that might be a higher number, but typically in the past, I would say 5. You know, I think that's a really manageable number.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'll just add to that too. Our company specifically, we know that the career fair is going to be it's going to be weird. And students may not get to everyone they want to. So we're trying to make ourselves available in other ways outside of the career fair day as well. Speaking of pets, you're going to hear my dog, sorry. I'm not near her, I promise, but I did try, I promise.
She probably wants to be near you.
She does. She doesn't understand why the door is closed. But yeah, so our company is trying to integrate into campuses other ways as well. So I think it's just keep in mind, don't be so overwhelmed or stressed out if you can't get to your list, or if you just get lost and you're not sure what to do. And companies are working in other ways to integrate ourselves into your semester as well, besides that one day. So I think we all just take a deep breath and do your research. And if you can get to your set number of companies, I love that, Jeff. I love setting a number of companies that you want to get to and not overwhelming yourself and recruiters if it's something that you may not really be interested in, that a little bit of research could help with. So look for us at Career Fair Day, but if you can't get to us that day, we're going to be on campus, our company specifically, doing trivia nights and sales competitions and things like that. So look for that from us, and that's another way to get involved and to meet us and to kind of interview each other that way as well.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I was going to say, so my sessions are going to be broken up into specific different departments that we might be recruiting in. So you can actually speak with the department manager in addition to me. So if you have some conflicting times there where you're really interested in the ER and it's at the same time as this other company you're supposed to be going to, if you can pop into a different session with us, just so you kind of get that interaction and just say, hey, I was actually interested in ER, I missed that session, but I wanted to introduce myself or whatever, just so we have some contact with you. And again, all of our contact information is on our handshake. Shoot an email or anything, give me a call and just say, hey, I was interested, I wasn't able to make it, I had a conflict, and that's, we will absolutely, like I said, we can set up a one-on-one session if you're not able to attend a group session with us. And so we can be very flexible with that as well.
Excellent. So with the time slot that each student is given, what do you feel, where should that go? Where should it start? And how do you feel the student can maximize that time with the employer?
I think that's where coming prepared with your questions is going to be huge. I'm used to attending career fairs and kind of doing the elevator speech for our company. So it'll be new for our managers to be a part of this. I've brought them a couple of times and they really enjoy it. But it's great when you actually get to drill in and ask specific questions that I probably couldn't answer about the department specifically that they can. So that's really going to drive our session, is the questions that people bring to the table. We can kind of give our elevator pitch and talk to you about some different statistics and whatnot about our company. But I think to have really good dialogue and genuine interest from you is going to take your questions.
Excellent. Thanks so much.
Yeah, we get, I like to joke that I get paid to talk about my company, right? I get to tell you all the good stuff.
Right.
But I want to make sure that I answer the questions that you do have, so that if it is something that is really interesting, then we can go more into our interview process and things like that outside of that career fair day. So I just want to make sure that you're getting everything out of it and you're not feeling overwhelmed and comfortable. So even if you have a question that's not about my company, I'll try and answer it for you, just if it's a general recruiting question. So some recruiters want to be used as that kind of avenue as well. So just don't be scared to ask. You have to come out of your box or your shell sometimes. So ask those questions that are important to you for sure.
Very good. And Jeff?
I disagree. When they go first, I'm just kind of really saying the same things. But, I say this once, I'll say it again. When you walk into a career fair or an interview, we want to hire you. We want you to be everything that we need to make our companies go to the next level. So you're already walking in a positive light. So if it is something you really could see yourself doing, and then you support yourself with having well-educated questions, whether it's about the company, the position, or things that are important to you that let us know you're passionate, you care about things, that all works. And that's going to make the time spent talking to that hiring manager, recruiter, much, much more valuable than the person who comes in and says, well, who are you? What do you do? And then you've wasted 5 to 10 minutes because we're not even close.
So would you say that having a prepared elevator pitch is pretty important to get the ball rolling with all of you guys, just getting that initial kind of summary or overview of what who the person is, what they bring to the table, what they're looking for, where they are at this point in time, and so on? You would think the elevator pitch is something in which they should have prepared.
100%. Big elevator pitch supporter. I think that it can be 15 seconds, it can be 20 seconds, but hey, here's who I am. Here's something cool about me, and here's what I'm really looking for. So I'm Jeff. I play college football. I want to go into the workplace and work in a job where my competitive nature, my teamwork-oriented mentality is going to allow me to see success. So what do you offer? So I think that having that, again, it eliminates the back and forth and the unnecessary conversation. So at the end of the day, everyone's time is valuable. Our time is valuable. Your time is valuable. So if you have that prepared and you're ready to say, you might say it 30 times that day, but at least you're not spending 10 minutes. It's more like 30 seconds, a minute, and you figure out if it's a good match and you move on.
Yeah, I agree. I like whenever people always include, kind of like Brooke was saying, in the resume, finding that like something's a little odd in there, and Jeff kind of mentioned it, something really unique that sets you apart, that makes people remember you. Because, we're going to go through a lot of different candidates and, graduates that are all in the same department. I'm like, okay, which one was that one? So anything you can give in your elevator speech that makes people be like, oh, wait, you're that one girl. I remember you, that kind of lets us, have that little quirk or something interesting to help us remember who you are.
Yeah, we have I think I have 6 universities to go to, and I'm helping with 6 others. So yeah, anything that you can do that. And I think just having an elevator pitch, having something prepared helps with uncertainty too. So you're new to virtual career fairs, we're new to virtual career fairs. So I think that will help you as well. Just feel a little bit more comfortable. You have something prepared that you've practiced, and you start with that, and that helps that conversation flow. No one likes awkward silences or awkward pauses. So I think that would help probably with confidence a little bit as well.
Very good. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with, having the elevator pitch can certainly give you a quick, easy overview of who you are and what you bring to the table. And we actually have encouraged our students to get comfortable with this practice by hosting a competition and, giving some prize money up for grabs for those who can really string together the best kind of assembly of what they're doing, what they're looking to do. So we give them, some flexibility on what it is we want to highlight, not necessarily just personal qualities, but an actual, mock career or business startup that they're looking to, assemble. And I think it's a useful practice, because much of what you do in terms of approaching people with elevator pitches, resumes, and so on, it's a lot about reflection on your personal character and what it is you're looking to achieve career goal wise. It leaks into, I believe, interviews, resumes, and just general interactions. If you can be more clear on who you are and what you're looking to do, I think it makes for a better quality interaction, and the likelihood of you going away with something that's meaningful, both of you, in fact, and aligning, as I said, those beliefs and everything. So I think it's a worthwhile investment to use that exercise to develop that personal kind of reflection and get to know really what it is you're about and where you're looking to go. And just on the note of follow-ups, we know that in general, follow-ups are pretty important and can make quite a good impression on just ensuring that you're discussing the points that you may have talked about earlier, and then just going ahead with a simple thank you and stuff like that. What is your personal preferences for follow-ups, or do you believe they're necessary, and if so, why?
I think it's a really good practice. I would say that email that would be my preferred follow-up method. I'm sure Randy and Brooke could say the same thing. Our phones probably don't stop very often. But an email is something we all have to check it. We all have to keep up on our inboxes. And it's, to me, really cool when I see an email after a career fair and it's somebody referencing our conversation. And just like we all talk about making yourself stand out, what a great, easy way to do it. And so, again, if you go to that career fair and you talk to 5, 10, 15 people, however many companies you've seen, not saying that you got to send one to everybody, but probably send to the ones that you're interested in and that you do want to set an interview up for. Goes a long way. It really does. It's all about, again, separating yourself from all the other people that we will see at these fairs, and giving us a reason to remember you and to try to get you into the interview process as quickly as possible.
Absolutely. I think that it shows a lot of professionalism, just thanking somebody for giving you the opportunity. It does help us remember you. It helps us put you in connection with those hiring managers. If we actually do interview you and thank you email sent to me because you have my contact information, but maybe not the person who interviewed you, I forward it immediately to the manager because that's going to impact their decision to hire you. Like the candidate actually sent a really nice thank you for your time and all that. So it's very, very professional, just a good practice to get into as you advance in your career, to always thank people for giving you an opportunity. And maybe you get the job and maybe you don't, but you at least made a very good impression with them.
Yeah, and I think one of my favorite ways to for follow-up after career fairs or things with students is definitely on LinkedIn. I love when you send me a connection after we've met, and then you add a note that just says, "Hey, Brooke, we met at the ULM Career Fair. I'm really interested in the role. Can't wait to connect with you," or whatever you want to say. But definitely telling me where we met is really helpful. But that for me is really awesome because I love being a connection. You can connect with people I've connected with. We can see each other that way. And it also has your picture on there, which is also really helpful. So it's like, oh yes, I met her and then we talked about this. And so I do love that part of it. But yes, after an interview, definitely thank people for their time, for interviewing you and talking more about the opportunity. It does go a long way. It probably goes a little further than you think. And it takes half a second to just say thank you for your time. I hope to hear from you soon. I'm really excited. So yeah, just keep those little touches go a long way and make a big difference.
I changed my mind. LinkedIn is how I prefer it. So that's cool. Yeah, that really is cool.
Yeah, it's really easy. And, if we connect, Jeff and I'm going to connect with Jeff and Randy and everyone on this call after this. But if you connect with me, even if you're not interested in my opportunity, I've connected with other companies and other recruiters. And so then they can become a suggestion for you as well. So really does open your network. And if I go to your LinkedIn profile after speaking with you and I see you have 5 connections, I'm like, oh, they're not using this tool the way they should. It's free. Let's use it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So go on there and spruce it up and start connecting with people that way.
I couldn't agree more. It's certainly a tool that's there to be utilized, and I don't think you can really overutilize it. It's certainly less done than under. So I think with many of these things, students often ask me, I don't feel like I've got the qualifications. People talk about their part-time jobs where they're a waiter. Jeff talked about some examples of that earlier. These smaller practices, such as, sprucing up your LinkedIn a little bit, taking that professional approach with the thank you notes and, learning off more things about yourself. There's such small little intricate details that people don't really put much weight on, but accumulate them together, it really does, make for a well-rounded character, and one in which you probably want in your workplace. And qualifications aside, everyone's if you can see that individual being a very coachable or trainable person, and in which case, learning the hard skills, so to speak, of the day-to-day job is certainly a lot easier when the soft skills are there or the initiative is there. And so I'm always saying to students to ensure that they can control what you can control. And there's a lot more to that than they actually think when you break it down for them. So I think that on my list of questions anyway, that is all I have for you guys. If any of the students that are here have any questions or for me or any of our panelists, now is definitely the time to do so.
Yeah, let's see if they've been listening to us with their
Mhm.
prepared questions.
Absolutely, yeah. And we're going to record this. We are recording this session for those who can't be here. I know a number of people that would usually attend our events are during class time right now and things like that. So trying to make the content more accessible to the student body is something that I think is pretty useful for those who are going to go away and think that they're not ready for a career fair now. They can access our chat and we had to say.
You know what? One of the downfalls that we haven't talked about with going virtual, we can't give our swag away. I have a little closet full of swag that I just is sitting here. So
That's true.
My office has multiple boxes of just all the giveaways that I couldn't wait to give away. We'll still be good next semester or whenever we're back.
That might be what we can do after career fair when you have like some top candidates. We can connect and have your mailing address on there. We could ship you a little goodie.
Yeah.
Goodies.
Included in your thank you note, I would say maybe just say also accepts if he would like to mail me. So if any of the students have a question, please put it in the chat, or I can or request to be unmuted, and I can facilitate it whichever way you like. Just give it a minute or two and many career fairs in the works for you guys. I'm sure you're going on to the next. I'm sure travel at least is not as intensive as it once was.
Yeah, no, there's several coming up, and I guess I'm just excited to kind of see how it all plays out, and I just can't help but think, well, what if it works really well, and this is kind of what it looks like moving forward. I'm gonna miss the person-to-person interaction. I don't think you can ever trade that, but gosh, if it reduces travel and it just makes sense, then I guess this semester will be a test for all of us.
I think so. I thought it was very strange that just a year ago I was sitting at home in Ireland and interviewing for this job via webcam, unheard of that I would be doing such a thing. And, just dressing up in my shirt at home and thinking, this is ridiculous. I'm not going anywhere. But, I actually would have took Jeff's advice at the time in that I was no different. And if I was going to get this, I would have to make a good impression, given that someone else is in front and has maybe an advantage, I'm not sure. But maybe virtual fairs are the way to express yourself. I got a bit more comfortable than I would have been if it was in person. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
You just got bonus points because of the accent.
Yeah.
To be in person. They just heard the voice.
That's not for me to say. I think you have to ask my boss if that played any part in it.
How humble is this guy?
Right.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, if that's all the questions, or no, if you have no questions, then I guess we'll conclude the session. I just really, really want to thank you guys, our panelists, for taking the time out to be with us here today. I certainly intend to have more events. Maybe we'll resume the face-to-face format in 2021. Who knows? But as Jeff says, if this works and reduces travel, then perhaps it will be Zoom for the foreseeable future, and in which case, hopefully we can get a better turnout next time. But I'm sure for those who attended and for those who this recording reaches, it will be a useful tool. And as I said in the beginning, it's useful for us because now I've taken several points from you guys that students who are going to be asking me questions about preparing for the career fair, I am that much more knowledgeable on how I could direct them, and that might make for better interactions with you guys if they do so happen to meet you. So as I said, thank you so much to Jeff, Randy, and Brooke for being here with us today, and to the students who took time to, as I said, invest in yourself, invest in what is going to be coming up for you in the near future. You won't regret it. It will be hopefully a fantastic start to your progression in your careers. So thanks again, and look forward to seeing you all soon. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Class is dismissed. Thank you, guys.